I was the only 18-year-old in the class, all right? I was always the freaking youngest. And the reason that I was always the youngest, look, when I was in college, I was Artemis freaking Fowl. I was a motherfucking protege, and I was totally a genius. I had taken dual enrollment, all right? So when I got to college, most of my freshman level courses, I'd already gotten them out of the way. So I was taking freaking junior and senior level classes while I was 18. I mean, I also took a few, like freaking astronomy or whatever with the other freshmen, but most of the classes I was in, I was 18. And everyone else, they're in their 30s. Some of them were in their late 20s, but most of them were in their 30s and 40s. And I was the only 18-year-old in the room. It was an accident. I did not mean to turn myself into Artemis freaking Fowl. It was an accident. But it's freaking South Texas. It's freaking Vaqueros. We were knockoff UT, Austin. We weren't in Austin. We're the knockoff UT. We're the Rio Grande Valley. And we're Vaqueros because all of us are wet. Look. They were paying lip service to the Rio Grande Valley, huh? We're 99.9.999% Latino. And we're so proud of it. And the culture is very important to us. That's why we renamed the mascot Vaqueros. We're not a horse, not anymore. From now on, we're the Vaqueros. And we're totally, we're not UT Pan Am, not anymore. Now we're UT Rio Grande Valley. Because we're woke. Look, I was the only 18-year-old in the class. It was my first semester of college. The name of the class? Gender Communications. Now, why? Why would I take a class like that? No reason. Look, I was a freshman. And it was my first semester. And the counselor, gives you the roadmap. And they're all, look, you got to take astronomy. You have to take astronomy. And you got to take history. You have to take history. And then you got most of your English, you already took. And the freaking counselor was like, oh, you were in dual enrollment. And I was like, yeah. And then the counselor was like, oh, you're smart. And I was like, what? Because it was the Rio Grande Valley. And then the counselor was like, why didn't you go to Austin? Why didn't you go to San Antonio? What are you doing here? And then I said, look, my dad said, look, the budget. He's living in McAllen, and he thought it was more convenient for me to go. I wanted to go to Chicago. I wanted to go to the freaking art school in Chicago. And I was all, look, we got cousins in Chicago. I could live with, what's her name? And I could go to the Chicago University. And my padre said, you're going to go to the fucking art school and you're going to be an artist? And I was like, yeah, I'm an artist. I'm a poet. And then he was all, you ain't going to make any money as an artist. Obviously, you're going to be a teacher. And I was like, because I look just like Perla. And then he said, look, you can get an English bachelor's and you can be an English teacher. And then I said, because this is the freaking Texas Association of Future Educators. I'm literally a future educator. And he said, look, it's a backup plan. Anyway, compromise. I was in the creative writing department at UT RGV. And the counselor acted as if, you're clearly in the wrong place, kid. I was like, what do you mean I'm in the wrong place? And the counselor had my freaking GPA and my my paperwork. And the counselor was all, why didn't, you could always transfer to UTSA, maybe when you're a sophomore or a junior. And I was like, is this a bad school? What are you saying? Anyway, the counselor was not very helpful. But they were all, okay, well, here's the roadmap. And, you can take any class you want as long as, and yada, 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 the whole spiel. And then I was looking at the freaking class options in the freaking psychology section. And I see that one of the classes is called Gender Communication. And I was like, gender communication. I want to know how the genders are communicating. So I clicked on it. Because by then, I was alone. The counselor got distracted, okay? We were in a room full of freshmen. And let's just say that counselor was being overworked. And they did not have the time to continue the discussion. So I was left by myself. And when I was by myself, I saw gender communication. Yeah, I want to know about the genders. So I clicked on it. And I ended up enrolling. I also clicked on another class, something about sociology, something. Later, on the first day of school, I was unpleasantly surprised to discover that it was a senior level statistics class for psychology majors. And the professor was like, you have to take intro to psychology before you can take this class. And I was all, well, then why did the freaking computer allow me to enroll? And he was all, you got to drop out. You got to do it today, else you'll get charged for this class. And so I, ran to the freaking library and dropped out of that particular class because I didn't want to get charged for it. And I obviously was not a freaking mathematician. I'm going to take senior level statistics of psychology. Obviously not. And he knew that I should not have been in that class. But the counselor got distracted when he was supposed to be helping me. Anyway, at the end of the day, whoops. So I was in a bunch of classes with a bunch of seniors, and most of them were in their 30s and 40s. And I was the only 18-year-old. And we were doing a group project for the gender communications class. And in the group project, it's me and these ladies and this guy. It's a group project. And all of them had kids because they were old. And I'm a freaking 18-year-old. And let's just say I forgot to pack a lunchbox. And one of the ladies was like, you can't skip lunch. You can't skip lunch. And I was like, well, I forgot to bring a freaking lunchbox. And I'm going to drive all the way to McAllen just to eat lunch? That would be a waste of gas. I'll just wait till, I'm done with classes and I'll eat dinner, whatever, I'll skip lunch. And then they were all, but there's this convenience store. Why don't you buy a snack at the convenience store? And I was all, this convenience store is inconveniently expensive. I'm on a budget, all right? And then the lady was like, I'll buy you something. I'll buy you a sandwich, huh? And so then we're in the convenience store, and I was all, really? You don't have to do that. Really? And then she was like, you're just like my son. And I said, what? Yeah? And then she said, look, just pick whatever you want. Come on. I'll buy you lunch. Come on. Pick whatever you want. And I was like, really? And I don't know. I was 18. And she was all, you're just like my son. And I was all, listen here, madre. I ain't your son. Look, let's just say, I was totally in the freaking foster home the day I turned 18. I was in the Pink Pony Club, and my parents were Catholic. So, I was all, look, I don't need a mom. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I do not need a mom. No. Shh. Listen, thank you, but you don't have to buy me lunch. And she was all, look, please, I don't want you skipping lunch. And I was like, God damn it, fine. Thank you. What's the budget? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, what's the budget? What shelf am I allowed to pick from? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, look, let's just say, culture shock. It was freaking culture shock. So, the genders were not communicating. And I was like, did she mistake me for freaking Orphan Annie? I'm totally Anakin and I'm Harry freaking Potter? Listen, my dad gave me an allowance. I'm the one that forgot to pack the lunchbox. HEB is obviously more affordable than the freaking college campus convenience store. So I'm not gonna buy snacks here. I'm gonna buy them at HEB in McKellen. But I forgot to I'm not good at meal prep, goddammit. But I have a daddy. His name is Daddy. I'm not an orphan. Look, when I was a kid, everybody and their freaking mom wanted to motherfucking adopt me because they thought this poor kid is obviously an orphan. I was like, hey, I'm not an orphan. I just got in a fight with my mom. Look, I'm just gonna sleep on the couch just for tonight, all right? Just for tonight, and then I'll go home, all right? I'm not homeless. Just for tonight, all right? And I'll go home. Look. And sometimes I would freaking sneak out of the window, and I would walk around at freaking 10 or 11 or after midnight. Look, my mother, she was working the night shift, and I was also working the night shift, but not like that. I was just I was a night owl, so I was walking. And I guess some of the grown-ups saw me on the freaking sidewalk. She's totally driving home from work, and it's 11 p.m., and she sees this kid, 4'9.5", and, I'm wearing what I'm wearing. They mistook me for a freaking 10-year-old boy, and I was like, hey, I'm not a 10-year-old boy. I'm a 16-year-old boy. Just because I'm 4'9", therefore I'm 10 years old, I'm 16, and they kept mistaking me for younger. And they would see me, I guess, and then later, like, hey, where do you live? Where are your parents? And it's like, hey, look, please don't tattletale. My mother does not know that I've been sneaking out of the house, all right? She does not know, and I don't want her to know, because if she finds out, she's gonna get the chancla. Please, don't tell her. And they wanted to call freaking CPS, and I was like, no, God damn it, please. Okay, look, I'll be good. I'll be a good boy, and I'll sneak back in the window, all right? I'll go home. I'm sorry, frick, and you're out past curfew, kid. And then freaking Luis Diaz's mom is coming by the house with pizza, and my mother was all, this is sus. What did you do? And I was like, I didn't do anything. I obeyed the curfew. I obviously made it home by curfew, right before you left for work. Didn't you see me walk in the door? I made it by curfew, right before you left for work. The thing is, the curfew, 9 p.m. And hey, I made it, it's 9 p.m. and I'm here. But then, she goes to work. She's working the night shift. She's working the graveyard shift. And after she's gone, obviously I would wait for my kid brother to fall asleep. Like, is he asleep? Is he asleep? He's finally asleep. Okay, he's asleep. And now that he's asleep, I'm gonna leave the house. Because he's asleep. I'm not babysitting him anymore. He's asleep. But I got caught. And then, one thing led to another. I'm so tired of rumors starting. And I'm sick of being followed. And I'm tired of people lying and saying what they want about me. So I was kind of infamous by accident. It was an accident. I was kind of infamous. And then later, I was wearing the Spider-Man costume because I was feeling nostalgic. And it was freaking deja vu. And the PTA moms freaking took photos of me and put the photos of me up on Facebook. Someone lost their child. And I was like, no, I'm not a child. God damn it. I am above the age of 18. I'm above the age. Just because I'm 4'9". I'm 4'9". Just because I'm 4'9" and I'm wearing the Spider-Man costume, therefore